Welcome to Grow Your Strength. This is the second week of our 6-week training program. And we got off to a good start last week. So let's keep it going. I'm going to start with breathing. You have some options. You can go face down or face up. Face down, you would support your forehead on your hands. Face up, have your body connected to the floor with your legs extended out. Or if that doesn't feel good, bend your knees and plant your feet on the floor and find a spot that your low back likes. Take some time to slow down the pace of your breath and work on the depth. Breathing in and out through the nose if you can. Relaxing your body into the floor. Give yourself one more full breath cycle. And then in this program, we're going to go to the back position, take a strap, and work on some knee flexion and extension. Non-working leg could be bent or extended out. Take some time to pull the knee into the shoulder and then fully extend the leg out, trying to get length to the tissues through the back side of the leg without locking your knee. So about 5 of these moves. Holding the leg out straight, isolate the ankle by spreading the toes and point and flexing the ankle. As you go through the ankle work, just keep the rest of the breath thing going. Try to keep calm. Prepare the body for the movement ahead by creating an awareness of your joints and how they're going to move today. So starting with the knees and ankles, I'm now turning the sole of my foot in and out. And I'm going to finish with some slow circles, just keeping my leg as still as possible, making the work come from the ankle joint. Okay, and then switch sides. Readjust the posture through the neck and shoulders of the low back if you need to, and then back to the knee bends. Find that place that you can hold the leg straight again, and then into the ankle work, spreading the toes, pointing the toes to the roof, pulling to the toes to the shin. Rolling the ankle in and out. Go slow enough that you can find the end range each time you move your foot. And then into those slow circles. I like the way this program just kind of eases you in slowly. All right, so now into cat-cow. So this is gently flexing and extending the back. You come to hands and knees. Spread your fingers and weight shift through your hands. So you're not just loading the base of your wrist, slowly rounding the back up, dropping the head down. You can roll through each vertebrae from your low back through the mid back, dropping the chest down, maybe pull the shoulder blades together a little bit. Gently look up and push the floor away as you round through the back again. You can spread the shoulder blades by pushing and the floor and letting your head gently drop down. Gift your spine this movement. After your next cycle, we'll transition to half kneeling. And in half kneeling, if you need support on your down knee, just put a little foam block or a pillow underneath. I like to level the hips, and that just means taking the top of your hip to your armpit and then sort of rocking. Often when we put one leg up, we end up being higher on this side. I'm sort of exaggerating it, but once you become aware of that, it's easier to level those hips out and just get tall so you're stacked in your posture over your down knee. Take a moment to take a full breath cycle here, and we'll go through now some shoulder cars. So this is the shoulder rotations where you're slowly bringing your arms up. Try not to reach back. Just get the movement coming from your shoulders wherever they're going to move today. You get to this point up here where you have to rotate your palms back and push the arms back to where you can access that range. You can bring your hands down to your sides and then try to touch up through the back on both sides and then slowly rewind. Get to that point where kind of work out the shoulders, turn the palms back around to face each other. I always think to myself, go slower than you want to, go slower than you want to. Okay, because if let's switch knees. And if you don't, then you just can't access the movement that your shoulders can. So here's my hip leveling on this side, getting tall through my posture on my down knee. I'm going to spread my fingers and work on this one more time. So going slow is key. Nice deep breathing. Don't move through pain. So if something is painful, stop, come out of it, change your range. Pushing back. Good. And hand up the small of your back. Where can you touch? Both sides. And then rewind. Wonderful. Now I'm going to take us through hip cars next. So we're back to hands and knees, finding neutral back. Slowly take one knee off the floor, keeping the rest of your body connected to the floor. So I'm gently pushing through my hands. I'm not weight shifting to my non-working side. As you move through a slow circle in each direction, be mindful that you're not just letting your low back dip down. I think that would be the most common thing that I could see as a bit of a fault. So you're not moving through your hip, but moving through your back. So keep that lower back curve. Just normal to have a small low back curve. And then after one circle each way, I'm going to switch sides. Watch that your head's not dropping down. You're not holding your breath. All these things can direct this to be more worthy of your time. How should we say it? Okay, so that's your hip mobility. Now I'm going to come down and show you a version of hip mobility in side lying, similar to a clamshell position. I've got my knees and feet stacked and I've rolled my top hip forward. I'm just supporting my head on my bottom arm. Now I'm going to take this top leg up and I'm going to pull the knee forward and then start to circle it around, similar to what we just did on all fours. But now you're just working to where you can control the leg without having to support the core quite so much. You might find this feels a little different, just circling around. And then now I'm going to reverse that circle. I always wonder if you guys can hear body sounds when I've got the microphone right here because my stomach just did a big growl. Okay, so that's always interesting. We'll see what other sounds. Okay, now I'm going to go right into the clamshells on this side. So 10 knee only and 10 knee and foot. So keeping this top hip rolled forward, up, create some tension through your hip, down, release. Some folks like to put on loop bands to add more resistance. There's pros and cons of that. You know, you get the added resistance, but it can be very limiting to the range that you have. So just keep that in mind. Modify the rep ranges to how it feels for you and your body, whether you use a band or not. Here's the second set, aiming for up to 10, where you lift the knee and foot. This technically is hip abduction, so you're working on the lift, and then you're working on the lower adduction, okay? So it's a really healthy thing. Lots of muscles in through here activating. So make it work on the way up, and then control the work on the way down. Good. Let me attention to the breath again. In and out through the nose. Of course, I'm not counting, so we'll switch sides and start with that new version of the hip circle. Okay, so roll that top hip forward, knees are a little forward, top leg up, and then you're going to circle around. Don't throw your leg into a position that you can't control. Where is the range that you can control? With breath, with movement. Good, and then into your knee only for up to 10. There we go. Getting some fatigue through my hip, feel some warmth. Have to stay focused to get this good quality movement in. I really don't feel like a band would be necessary for that. And at least with the first set, if you wanted to take a pause and when you do the tape, see what it feels like with the band, then give that a try. All bands, you know, this is a blue sort of medium tense band. There's ones that are lighter in intensity. All the different brands have different colors. So just be mindful what you take on though, okay? All right, so here I'm stretching my hips, my low back. I'm going to go into a bridge position. So I'll put my feet back on the floor, adjust my back, neck, so that I have what I would feel like to be a neutral back as I lift up the hips, activating the hip muscles, and then down and release. Let's go through 5 double bridges, and then with the option to take it to a single leg or stay with doubles. The single leg bridge, one foot comes off the floor. You want to be mindful that you're still lifting both sides of your hips in an even plane. So don't come up and have a shift go on. Up, activate, down, release. If you need to reset your posture through your torso, a little low back curve is normal, so don't jam your back down or your chin, and then up you come. Good. Moving from the bridges, we'll take it into the reverse tabletop position this morning. Knees float over your hips, fingertips to the roof, and then anchor in your shoulders and shoulder blades. From here, return to some deep nasal breathing. You can wiggle your fingers and toes, make sure that you're not holding a lot of tension through your hands. And then you can slowly start to go into a opposite arm and leg pattern, looking at the hand that you reach gently overhead. The more control you have through your torso, right, the stronger you can support a movement further away from the center. So longer range, more control. If you want to make this harder, you could take it a little wider, play with the angles, and even hold the angle open for a breath cycle. Now I'm starting to feel a little fatigue in through my back after holding it for that long, so I can bring my knees in, just kind of reset and try that one more time. So you want to stay in control of your posture. So the low back is not arching up and you're not feeling like it's seizing up or tensing. And you want to be able to control the breath. Get a little fancy with my ranges. Okay, so now we'll roll over onto the elbows. Place the elbows under the shoulders. Bend one knee. We're going to open up the posture by lifting the knee, planting the foot, and rolling onto the elbow. From here, you want to make sure you're not shrugged. You can gently mobilize your neck by looking down at your elbow and looking up, and then take it through a roll to the other side. Bend the knee, lift the knee, plant the foot, look down, look up, roll back through. Just try to relax your body as you go through. Let things kind of, move in there. From this position, this top knee, I can keep it out. I'm actually using my hip a little bit. Nice healthy posture for your upper back as you roll through side to side 2 or 3 times each side, just depending on how fast you're going and how that's feeling. Okay? Coming out of those 2 hands and knees and working on your shoulder blades or your scapula movement, I'm just sinking my chest to the floor and trying to get some squeezing or retraction of the shoulder blades. Then I push the floor away and I'm trying to sense spreading them apart. The difficulty with this is that often we integrate spreading them apart with rounding the back. So try to keep the back neutral and sense just gliding the shoulder blades together and apart. Now the shoulder blades do move in a shrugging, so an up and a down motion as well. But while you're doing this, try not to allow the shrug to happen. Kind of just center your shoulders and get some glide. Now when you set yourself for the bear or the plank, you can just shake out the wrists if you need a little break there. The shoulder blades kind of want to be in sort of a middle ground of this. So you're not in a completely retracted position or a completely protracted or pulled apart position. So I find my middle ground, spread my fingers. Here's the bear. I tuck my toes and lift my knees off. You can just check that you're weight shifting through your fingers. 1 to 5 breath cycles, depending on how strong you are. Then rest. Take a moment, flip your palm up. Give yourself a little stretch in flexion through your wrist. And then perhaps another bear or step back into a high arm plank. So this here, activating the hips, watching the position through your neck so your head is not dropped down. Again, count your breath cycles as a way of measuring how long you can hold that without too much shake and bake. Now, if where you're at is just the bear, then just go back and do another bear. One more progression this week would be to take it to a lower. So I could step back into my plank and then slowly control myself down to the floor. Now, if that felt like too far to go, play with putting a pillow under your torso or taking it to a wall and trying to do a lower into a wall, sort of a simulated wall. I can use my fireplace here, just pulling myself in, and much easier to push away a much lower percentage of my body weight. Okay, so from here we'll take it to standing. I'm going to start with some weight shifts through my feet. Remove my squishy mat, so I've got a firmer Naboso mat here. I'm going to weight shift side to side. Got some toe spacers on this morning. I'm going to keep my toe spacers on for a little bit more and see how that feels. Trying to wear them for at least 15 minutes a day. Start to balance a little bit more on each foot, kicking the other foot back. If you need balance support, you could hold a dowel or move over to a piece of furniture to do this. Lots going on in the ankle, knee, and hip as you take it to one side. And then let's bring it knee forward and go into some cross body taps. Just taking some time to float your weight over your foot. So things that might make it easier would be to lock the knee or lean back. So try not to do that, right? Keep your posture, a little softness in the knee. If this feels too easy, then start to blink or try a few passes with your eyes closed. My eyes are closed and just sticking with this. A lot harder taking the visual away. Just a little practice is good. Balance reaches, 3 per side. Taking some time to set up your foot. You can reach the arms out in front, turning the palms towards each other, thumbs to the roof, and then the leg that's extended back. Push through the heel to the wall behind you. You can stay on one side or alternate, all good. Take your time. Remember, this is a practice. Every time you come back to standing, just realign your posture, get nice and tall. Hinging to a depth that you can control. Looks great, everyone. 1, 2, 3, freeze is next. I think I might have invented this. I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember if I ever saw it anywhere else, but I love this for challenging yourself in different positions. Okay, so you think about walking, you might slip on some leaves or trip on a root or just on the pavement. surfaces are uneven, you have to get your leg out fast, and you don't want to lose your balance. So this is your lateral hip stability. 1, 2, 3, freeze. Add the arms. Maybe bend the base knee a little bit. Try to vary this up. Just going through at least 10 of these. Looks good. Okay, now we have strength pairs in this program. The first is 8 squats, and we pair that with some push-ups. I want to go through this twice today. So take a weight that you think 8 squats will be feeling good. You want to be in that zone where you get a little adaptation, a little work, not hurt yourself, but also not too easy. Find a distance for your feet, hip width or wider, toes straight or turned out a bit, all good. As long as it feels good on your back as you pull yourself down into your squat. Inhale down, exhale up. Good. Now push-ups. If you can, take it to the floor, but if not, you're going over to a wall. So you can start to feel the glide that I was talking about of the shoulder blades when we did the scapular shoulder blade mobility drill. Pulling yourself in, try to feel the shoulder blades coming together, and then create some tension and push your body away. Feel the shoulder blades coming apart. And it's okay to even push away and feel a little bit more spread. Excellent job. Aiming for a number that you know you can do well. With push-ups, when you start to feel like you're taking a little bit more load on one side or up into your neck, you are so done. Probably overdid it. Okay, so that number, just in your backstory, okay, I can do 8 of these really well on the wall. That's what you're going to be aiming for next time. All right, back to the squats. Load it up. Connect with the feet. As you pull yourself down into your squat, you should not be feeling anything through your back. Open the hips and pull yourself down. Push the floor away. The back is not involved. Excellent. Now that's our strength pair set 2. Back to the wall for the push-ups. For some of you that wanted to try a version on the floor, here's my plank position. I can do a little push-up. I could do a full push-up as long as I'm keeping my posture and my breath. So work on that. Find that number that you can do and proceed. So that's 2 sets. If you wanted to do more sets, had good energy, you wanted to do 3 sets, just pause the tape and do some more. Now we're going to a new strength pair, half kneeling press, and from the up knee side. Now I made a little note last week that I had said if the press doesn't feel good, to do a lateral fly, which is out to the side. So this week I thought we could try both. So press once overhead and then take the elbow out to the side. And I'll show you from this side what I'm doing. Press once overhead. Then I drop my arm down so my elbow's at 90 degrees. I'm coming out to the side. Back to the press. And here's the side raise. You might find one of them a little hard. Maybe you need to decrease the weight you're using. See how it feels. Just know after a while that's the rep range that works for your shoulder today. Okay, switching sides. Level the hips. The further your foot is out, the more base of support you have. Right in front of your hip or just a little out is a good idea so that you can focus on your shoulder. Looks great. If using weight doesn't feel good, just do this with body weight. Make a light fist or hold a small ball. Start to work your shoulder through this pattern. And there you go. That was enough for me. Into the pairing, which is the seated band row. Take the middle of a stretchy band around your feet. I like to just rock on my hips a wee bit, get nice and tall in the posture. Check that the tension feels right, that you can finish with your elbows at your sides. Any width on the elbows works. And then just start to pull back and work all those muscles behind the shoulder, through the shoulder blades. Be mindful that you're not pulling up into a shrug. I put the rep range at 12 to 15 for this. Good. Take my elbows a little wider. Slow down my end range so I can feel my shoulder blades come together. Love it. Okay, we'll do these two one more time. So that started with the overhead press and the lateral fly. Now the weight that I picked for this feels good. I think that was about 5 reps that I did. If you're going lighter, you could certainly go with more repetitions. For the press, I start in the rack position, my palms facing my shoulder. See how I open and press? This is not a maximum press for me overhead. So I've got a little liberty to take my arm up and then use all these muscles a little wider, pulling it down. If this was a max press, probably wouldn't be going that wide. But take advantage of the fact that you've got some range of motion and the weight can work your shoulder in lots of different angles, because the shoulder has many, many angles that often we don't train. If we train only in one angle, we can create our own injuries. Okay, so let's switch sides. Level the hips, back to the press and the lateral fly. Good. Pull back down. Even with this one, work the lowering phase. Just feel yourself getting stronger. I'm going to do one more of each. And open that up. Wonderful. Okay. And then back to the exercise I paired that with, which is the seated row. I'll go this way so you get what I mean about the elbows. So you're finishing the elbows here, not back here, okay, because that just internally rotates the shoulder. So if the tension is too light and you feel you need to go back that far, walk your hands a little further in and then finish at the sides. Still too easy? All right, there we go. Can take the elbows a little wider. How does that change what you feel through the backside? All those postural muscles in your upper back. Yeah, it feels different when I go wider. Ooh, I just thought of something for next week. We can play with different grips on this. Yes, we'll do that for next week. Okay, so finishing off this strength pair, we have one more strength pair to go and then into get up practice. Hip hinging is first. So hip hinging, come to standing. You've got some options. I'll go through a few from body weight to weighted. Feet are hip width or wider. Hands slide down your thighs as your hips go back. The back remains neutral. So if I have 3 points of contact, back of my head, between my shoulder blades, and between my hips, as I sit back, I'm maintaining this neutral back posture. You can see my hand is in the small of my back. I don't have a huge curve and I don't have it flat. So I'm just maintaining a neutral back curve, breathing in as my hips go back and exhaling as I come up to standing. Now that's a good visual. See if you can do that with body weight or with load. Okay, so progress. Good, I see you guys both using weights. That's good. Hips back. Inhale, exhale, come up. Now a little add-on that I like when I'm using dumbbells for this is to rotate the palms open at the top, so you just get a little bit more work through the shoulders and core. Inhale, hips back. Exhale, up, perhaps open. These are not max weights. Rep ranges of 10 are completely fine. The last exercise was the static lunge. For this one, I am going to take off my toe spacers because that just creates a little bit more imbalance, I guess, or instability when I step back. So here's your reverse lunge, dropping the back knee a little or a lot. And my bad, I didn't see whether it was a static or not. It is static. So you're going to step back and go up and down with load if you like, 6 to 8 times a leg. I'll stick with body weight for my first round. Connect with your front foot. Knee tracks right over the midfoot. Back toes are bending, and you see how I've worked on getting my leg nice and straight. If you have some tight areas, could be ankle, could be hips. Sometimes it's really hard to get into this position, and I see clients doing stuff like this. Try to train it in a mirror and play with how that heel looks and see if you can get a nice even lunge, looking lunge. That ankle mobility that we do in the start of the class, that's going to help with this if you're having trouble with anything that looks like this. Hip mobility helps as well. Okay, so now we'll go back through the hinges and those lunges. I'm going to load my second set. Okay, I'm going to use double kettlebells for this set of deadlifts and just show same technique, a little heavier. Hips go back, and the back feels good. Take a breath in, lift, potentially open. Rebreathe, a nice deep breath, and control the lower. Reset, no shrugging. Now this is a little heavier, so these kettlebells are 10 kilograms each. I don't have to do 10 reps anymore. I'm getting some really good load. Back feels good. You're not trying to push this to failure. I'm trying to get some good long-term strength through the hips and core. There we go. And then into the lunges. I'm going to load my lunges up. Something I get asked a lot is about the front knee. Should the lunge load the front knee by going forward, or should you stay upright and kind of drop down so the knee in the front stays over the ankle? And it's quite individual. If your knees are sensitive, I would suggest you start with staying more upright so you're not driving that knee forward. If you want to build a little more strength in the knee and it doesn't hurt, then you can go forward. And you could just do one forward and one straight up for a while and test the waters of whether or not this works for you. Switching sides. Here's one straight up. Here's one with a little few inches pitched forward. Changes how it feels. And there's 6. So again, same as with our earlier strength pairs. If you wanted to do a little bit more work, had a bit more time, you could pause the tape and do another set of any of those strength pairs. I'm going to finish with our get-up practice. If you know the full get-up, you can go ahead and do the full get-up. I'm going to walk us through a full get-up body weight. Some of you already load your get-up, so that's just great. I'll go body weight. Feel free to stop at any stage. Starting with my right knee bent and my right arm up in the air. I take some time to bring my left side out on an angle. Watch that you're not lying with a big low back curve. So adjust your posture, tuck your chin down, and when you're ready, push into this foot, take a breath and roll to the elbow. From here, you take your hand and flatten your hand and press yourself up to a sitting position. Now, for some of you, this might be as far as you go, so then you would go down to your elbow and back down to the floor. If you want to take it a step further, you're going to bend this knee, lift yourself up, and pop the knee right underneath your hip. You got it. There we go. A little further back. Now you sit into your hip and come upright. So this is the same as our half kneeling position. We have to take some time here to bring the front foot in line. Tuck the back toes, because to stand up, I want to use my back toes and lever myself up to standing. From here, I take this same leg, so it's the opposite leg to the arm in the air. I step back, get control of my balance, and then try to slowly lower myself back down to the floor. I can take my front foot and open it a bit wider, so I've got lots of room to come down to my hand. Take a breath and sit through to my hip. Extend my leg out, come down to my elbow, and all the way back down to the floor. Shout out to you, Shelly, that was awesome. Okay, we're going to switch over to the other side. As you learn the get up, you're going to go through lots of practice sessions. It's not always going to look the way you think it should. I think there's no perfect get up, right? So one of the master instructors from Strong First, Fabio Zonin, he said to me once, I did a perfect get up. It was a mistake. I thought that was funny. So here I am going on side 2. Coming up, taking some time to line up the front foot, the back foot, tuck the back toes, take a breath, come up to standing. Step back with the foot opposite to the hand in the air. Try to control the lower soft knee as you land. The front foot goes wide. Then you sit into your hips, hand on the floor. Make sure you're not shrugging through your shoulders, so you take your weight through your hand and your foot, back down to your hip, then roll to your elbow, and back down to the floor. Excellent job. So thank you for your attention to building a stronger version of yourself with Grow Your Strength today. Remember, everything we do in weight training is a practice. The quality of your hip movement, your shoulders, everything, your ankles, it all gets better over time with practice. And what we look at is externally. Often we look at how does that squat look or how does that hip hinge look? It gets better looking externally when we work internally. And that's why I spend so much time with the shoulders and hips and ankles. All right, so thank you again. Have a great week. I look forward to seeing you next week.